good afternoon. It's Shirley with Spirit of Matter, the funny person who tells everybody to stop working so hard while she recording the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th video in the same day and gets triggered when people talk about people being lazy or parasites while she's working harder than a lot of people in every industry. So, this is a very special episode for me as I'm for the first time, looking at the chart of an event in my life where I wrote political satire and political not just by the merit of the zeitgeist, but it was very political. Okay, it was of the structure of systems and how that pertains from military to academia to government. And unfortunately, later the next episode would be medicine, but I did not even expect to predict this. So, and after, of course, juristic system. I did not know anywhere near what I know about astrology right now. I had no idea what will be, what was. I was a student in politics and governance for second degree, tier of 3 courses, and at this time it was after I tried to speak and people tried to silence that in all kinds of claims. So I decided to write a political satire. It was basically inspired by a moment where I saw a satire that I love. It's also very political, religious satire. It's called The Jews Are Coming, Yudim Baim. And it's an Israeli satire, kind of like our Monty Python. But this particular one was more secular. Okay, more secular satire of the secular life. I don't think religion play a part in this particular one. So it was my outlet, and now I am looking at the moment that I remember that I wrote, if I'm not mistaken, around this day I wrote the first Facebook post. That was to be a series of posts with the satire that the English translation would be sugar-free lemonade. And now is the first time. Now I'm doing astrology, okay? And now I'm taking a look back and taking a look at this moment when this satire was written from the point of view of an astrologer. Okay, so the content, it was political satire. I was Me Too veteran, and I was looking into how the societal structures and the cultures and the indoctrinations and the intergenerational themes kind of play into that moment where we get these situations around sexuality that are really radical and bizarre and do not make sense in any way, shape, or form. As sex is something that is beautiful, sex is something that is pleasurable, sex is something that is joyous. How did the world like get into the position where we have to deal with those situations? Okay, and so I was looking at the ridiculous patterns in our society and the structures of our society that kind of play into creating all these stressors and all these divisions that eventually make part in what was then Me Too, but in various things that happen in society that are really funny, that are really bizarre, including wars, including racism, or what we believe is racism, and so on and so forth. So now I'm going to look at the chart. I won't look at the ascendant and midheaven because obviously I am, I'm recovering from complex post-traumatic stress. And yes, these episodes do require a bit more effort than I sometimes am thinking that I can, okay? So I'm absolutely not going to try and find the exact post, the exact hour, Actually, I have silenced all notifications from that era. There were a lot of these posts that were being put non-public, and so, and also I just wanted to cleanse myself out of this old era. So this is as far as I can go right now. Okay. Now let's look at what was. So the first thing that pops out is this Aries Uranus Pallas conjunction with Aries in 23, Aries retrograde in 23 degrees Aries, Uranus 25 degrees Aries also retrograde, Pallas retrograde 29 degrees. Now notice the pattern of retrogradation. This satire was written as a reflective mode. It was written as a response to me no longer being able to publicly tell my story and to publicly express myself. So following a very, very personal playwriting stuff that was prohibited, I decided to write a satire, okay? And look at the retrogradation. It's kind of like looking back. Also, there was a piece of information, and in this play, it is kind of like, there was a piece of information I found out basically that the way my case was closed was by sexually harassment of me in paper, okay? My colleague that did statistical analysis of the way it's been treated in academia, she basically calls me in. She said, like, I don't know, but I have to share this with you. You need to know this. And she showed me this because she didn't want me to find it by the news or to run by chance. And she showed me this, and the response was like, okay, now I must respond to this. I have the right to protect myself. I have the right to speak up. But then I wrote a satire. So notice the retrogradation, okay? Mercury for me is Aries 26 degrees. So all of this is around my Mercury. Mercury both rules my 7th and 4th house, which is like significant other and so on, so opponent, open enemy. But it also rules my speech. So if I speak up for myself, of course, my Mercury is going to be very highly involved. Uranus, unusual form of speech. Aries, okay, she's the goddess of discord, throwing something. It's like throwing a bomb, throwing flames, throwing something into this hot pot of discussion in a way that is very engaging and very disturbing. So we needed Aries there, and Pallas, which is of course like the feminist goddess. Okay, she's this arduous, passionate fighter for the right of women as well. Okay, so all of these together combine on my Mercury. I was throwing bombs, one after one after one after one after one for several months. Another thing that immediately pops is all of this squaring, separating from a square to Pluto. Pluto itself at this point was separating from an opposition to my moon. Okay, so you can imagine how I needed to find, through this satire, I basically found an emotional outlet. Okay, be able to speak again, to say my no, but in a way that it is not missed until like the next galaxy, you know? Like I said, don't oppress people. Don't oppress people. Don't oppress people. Time. Huh? So that was the case. And more things that I see. Well, I see here Lilith in 0 degrees with Sappho. Lilith with Sappho. Okay, let's understand this chart a bit. Maybe in here I will get a clearer picture. Yes, Lilith with Sappho, trining this big three conjunction. Lilith is in Capricorn. with Saturn in Sagittarius next to Pholos or something like that. So Sappho, if I'm not mistaken, has to do with lesbian erotics, which I don't think that played a part here. Lilith, and those were on my Neptune. Okay, so Neptune is the closest planet to my midheaven, but the separating aspect. One thing you need to understand, the closest planet to my midheaven that is applying is Uranus. So of course, doing astrology and being an astrologer is a good remedy for that. Okay, I'd rather do that than, other reactionary, revolutionist, a very colorful image. And now this Uranus was meeting my Mercury. So what my legacy is, to simply put. So I don't want to delineate Lilith and Sappho, but Lilith was very much involved. Okay, Lilith in Saturn sign with Sappho, like Sappho is about lesbian love. Okay, Lilith is basically the goddess that will not be subordinate. She left Adam because she would not be subordinate. She wants to be equal, okay, with the person. So again, we have this trining to yet another figurine being that would not be subordinated to what? In Saturn, to government, to organization, to hierarchy, to patriarchy, to church, to religion, to even witchcraft, okay? Even witchcraft, even the hidden art, because Saturn rules witchcraft. She will not be subordinate. She will not be with people who try to subordinate her. No, 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 no. And she will end up raising your child. Okay? This is Lilith. She was cast out. She was cast out of heaven. Now she lives her life. So the Lilith story, she kidnapped the children. And then she would raise the children. Or there are stories where she harmed the children. There are many stories about Lilith. But the essence, the beginning is that Lilith said, no, 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 no. I will not be subordinate. I will not be subordinate. If you want to live with me, you need to be equal power to me. Okay, so imagine how this come about and how this Lilith that will not be subordinated gets enshrined, okay? With this rebelliousness of Uranus, with the goddess of discord, Aries, and with Pallas Athena, the warrior for women's rights. And they all agree with each other. So, they don't usually always agree about everything of it. But they're kind of like, they commune together to this liberté. And yeah. So the next thing, I basically looked at this chart because I wanted to see where Mercury was. I wondered if it was in my 6th house or not. This was in my 10th house, not surprisingly. But who do we have here? Saturn. Saturn, at this point, was in Sagittarius with fall that I don't know what is this fall. I will look later. Saturn was on my midheaven. Okay, what does it mean with Saturn on the midheaven? Saturn is the planet of time and karma. It says, Shirley, you are so and so years old. 2017, I was born in 84, I was 33 years old. You're so and so years old. Okay? You have a legacy to put in this world. What have you been doing? You've been slacking up. Get your hands down. Get your fingers down to the keyboard and write. What you came here to do? You've not been writing? So now you will write. Or you die. You will write or you will die. Okay? This is not the offender. This is not the academia. This is not the army. This is not the government. This is Saturn. You came here to bring you this legacy. You're going to sit your fingers to the keyboard. You're going to write. You're going to publish. You're going to do it day after day after day after day after day, or you die. Simple. Okay? That's what happened. You have a legacy to bring down. Saturn gets you to the grind. And I don't like this word grind, but I kind of do. Okay? And Saturn was, guess what? Trining this Aries, Uranus, and Pallas retrograde. So not only the spirit of the zeitgeist Uranus was involved, Aries is a planet that takes 500 years to surround the zodiac. 500 years! Of course, Saturn sees something like this. I see you put your fingers to the keyboard right now. But I will die. I don't care. So you will die. These words will leave. But I don't want to die. You were suicidal all your life. Come on, right? And that was the case. That was the case. Saturn creates creation that is enduring. The moon here is kind of funny because it's a decreasing moon. It's a decreasing moon. However, I don't know if it is the day, so it can very well be a new moon. Okay, at the same time, it can be at the same day. If it's around this day, it can be either a decreasing moon, because indeed this Satire was something that was written and then was put for me on private, but it's on other people's computers, screenshots, whatnot. They had to save it. Or maybe it was new moon. Okay, then it was new beginning. And I cannot tell which. Okay, I don't know which. Sun was 25 degrees. Let's take a look at this. 25 degrees Scorpio. Venus, Jupiter were in Scorpio. Okay. But you see how this Saturn, it won't let you go. It's like, we want you to the US Army. You have been recruited. You say, but no, I want to live my life. Okay, go ahead, live your life. Then you cannot live. You must fight. You say, oh, okay, I want to get rid of it. Enough. I want to get rid of it. Okay. 2-3 years later, now, who are you? I'm Me Too veteran. Oh, that reminds me of a sugar-free lemonade. Okay. It's getting, and Saturn is enduring. Saturn takes 28 years to go through the zodiac. So we have how many cycles? With the planets involved, how many cycles? We have Saturn, 28 years. What you start now, you're both culminating 28 years. It was decreasing moon, and you are just 28 years. Nobody will be able to ask who is Shirley Youngblood without somehow touching on this story. Poor the people who were involved with it. Huh? Awesome. Then we have Uranus. Not only retrograde. So not only 80 years. There's the 40 years is the opposition. Okay? 80 years. Cycle. 80 years. 80 years. Beyond my life. Huh? And then Saturn is the highest planet in my chart. Okay, so before the midheaven, the plain one is Saturn. The separated one is Neptune. And Saturn in Sagittarius, 12 degrees. Okay, so this is a person that, who is Shirley? Oh, she's this weird, rebellious, whatnot. Oh, she's this astrology thingy, always talks about the planets. Okay. Oh, she's that weirdo. It can also be because it's Saturn. So 80 years. Pallas, I don't know. Let's learn. Pallas, Athena, Pallas. I don't think she takes long to circle, but let's see Pallas circle. Pallas, Athena. Astrology. This gives us meaning, but I want to know how long does it take. Pallas, Athena. How to like psycho? Yes, okay. Bicycles? Thank you. I don't know. So for Pallas Athena, I don't know. But Aries, you better believe this, 500 and something years. This, I think, Dan Waits gave us the information. 500 and something years. It's psycho. It's important. It's beyond. Do you say a person wrote this? Yes, a person wrote this. They may not even remember the name. A person wrote this. A person said this. A person. It's 500 years. Maybe somebody in 500 years will channel something, channel something. Come from the air. This joke, there was joke. Oh, it was, they were doing interpretation of something and they was taking think, oh, it was, no, they did not write this song. Oh, but why did not mention? Oh, it was not relevant. Oh, it was not for money. Oh, it was not commercial art. Oh, where was it? What was it? Okay. And they can think, oh, what were these things? It was about the structure, about the political, about the this. Who wrote this? Who wrote this? We don't know. Maybe a man, maybe a woman. We don't know. And it's those type of things that when something crosses 500 cycle and the 500 return, then we think about this again. So Aries was in Aries 500 years ago. Now we discovered Aries when she was in Aries, huh? Who knows, when maybe we had stories of her from 500 years ago. Now Aries return, we discover her. Who else lived 500 years ago? Leonardo da Vinci, the Renaissance, basically, Leonardo da Vinci. Okay, so now we remember Leonardo da Vinci, the Da Vinci Code, the Da Vinci this, the Da Vinci that. Oh, Da Vinci was also scientist, not also artist. Oh, Da Vinci was also artist, not also scientist. Oh, Da Vinci thought about observation because they were only channeling in academia at the time. Oh, Da Vinci also channeled, so he did both channeling and observation. And he's the father of the scientific method. Okay, so think about those Aries cycle as just 500 years. Now I understand how come something is the personal meets something way beyond it. Compulsive writing. When you have compulsive writing, if you are a writer, I say to you as a writer, okay, and you like astrology, look at the astrology, look at the cycles, because sometimes you may think, oh, it's not so important, it's not so this, it's not. If you have compulsive writing, you will write this anyway. So that was definitely ripe time for you to write or else. And that was the feeling. I literally understood that I'm going to die if I'm not going to write. And when I'm going to write, I don't know if I'm going to live, huh? So you can understand why Saturn was needed here. Saturn does denote death as well. But here it was on materializing. Now you're going to put your fingers to the work and write this. So yeah. Then there were the personal planets. There was Mars in Libra, and my peace initiation was a part of the Satire. Chiron retrograde on my ascendant, on the degree. Chiron on my ascendant. Okay? So the life path, the wounded healer. There is the wound, and then there is the healing. Okay? And Chiron, my darlings, remember what I said about the atomic veterans? It's a 50-year cycle. What happens there, what's starting there, It's a stamp of 50 years, 50. So 50 years from now, only then things can be spoken, things can be displayed, the full purging of the experience can be tended to. Huh? Not lovely? But at least I wrote something creative, huh? What else? The notes. Rahu was in Leo with Ceres. And Ceres is both to do with oh, this I must tell you. Now that we are speaking, I'm looking at this. It's in my 6th and 12th. I'm looking at this. I must tell you this. Ceres is Demeter. She's the goddess of crops. She's the mother of Persephone. And so basically what happened was that Hades kidnapped and raped Persephone, and Persephone would live 6 months in the underworld and then 6 months go back. And then Ceres said that for half a year, for 6 months, there will not be crops. Okay, this is the winter. There will not be crops, there will not be fertility until the spring. And those are the seasons. Okay, so when we pray to Demeter, we pray to the goddess of agriculture. Now, at this time, because what happened in the Me Too, what I can say now, okay, I didn't quite understand then. I was saying, okay, they try to make you to be like the prostitute. And I said no to this, so then they became to be oppressive towards me, okay? And the thing is, a part of my luck was that before this happened to me, it's a small, Israel is a small country, so the university, although big, it's still small. The president of the university, she knew me. Because every time they would need a person to be representative when the donors would come to donate to the university, I would get a free meal and I would speak to rich people with money about how, and I was really excited because I loved studying and I was so thankful that I have this opportunity to have a scholarship, to have housing, to have funding for university. And I would be like the best representative, okay? Like, oh my gosh, I'm given this great chance and I'm very happy that it's happening. Like, this is totally true. I am very, very grateful to this day. I'm very grateful. But, when this happened to me, it was a big problem. It was a very big problem. I don't have to tell you in how many ways, right? And so, because this happened to me, then I had the privilege, I had to speak up. I had to speak up because I had the privilege that the president of the university knew me in my face. Okay, and needed me because I knew donors. It's not that they exchanged numbers or something like this, but she didn't know what yes, what no. Okay, it's not about this, but she didn't know what yes, what no. And I said, I will turn to donors. So, and this was so important. Now, why do I mention Ceres? Because back then I got to the discourse about sex work, okay? Because there is sex trafficking and then there is sex work, and there was entire discussion about should we make legislation against sex work entirely, should we not, should we this, and various voices and so on and so forth. So I got to know sex workers, and both women who were trafficked and women who were in various ranges of decision regarding to this, okay? And so when it came even after what happened to me in therapy, it would be women who were survivors of either sex trafficking or sexual violence in the family, that would start growing things to grow like crops and grow food. They would grow food themselves, or they would grow agriculture and make art with agriculture. And now that I think about Ceres here, I'm like, oh my God. And I realized that what I know that helped women in this situation is to grow crops, to grow their own food and to grow. And even I was told by someone who was my teacher and later my colleague, and she said, you need to plant something from the seed, and I planted sage and I waited for the moon to be growing and this and that, but the sage died, and it was not this simple. And it took me a lot of time until I managed to grow something, or to grow something from seed. And garlic, I think, was my best friend, because garlic grows quickly. And I managed to recently eat the first garlic like cloves that I grew for myself, and it was so excited, and I planted it. Oh my god, I put it in the Eris Silan, like Silan with garlic that I made. So I made an Eris garlic, Eris Silan dedicated to Eris, and it was called, I think, the power of the magic of the people. And when I had my garlic, I said, "Oh, I will edit it. I will put it in the Silan," and it is so tasty. Fermented garlic is so tasty. So I can't help but think about this connection between Ceres, which is the goddess of agriculture, to healing from sexual abuse, because she was the mother of Persephone. Okay, and there's this something like, the land has, you are not forgotten, the land has not forgotten, this validation, and many things that you grow with the crops, and I can't even. And this is so helpful to many people. So first of all, it might be helpful to you, and even if you don't have yard or land or anything like that, you can perhaps begin to try and see what grows for you. For me, garlic grew the best. And you see, garlic is also good spiritually, for protection, for this, for that, or to put under. All you have to do is put garlic in water, then it begins to grow these green leaves that you can harvest, and you can plant it in like a pot. In one pot plant one garlic, and then you will have a couple of these pots, and they take 9 months to grow. Okay, they take 9 months to grow, like a baby, like pregnancy. So this was the first thing that worked for me. And later, now I have some potatoes there. I grew rosemary. I did my first tincture of rosemary, which is another story. So how Ceres and agriculture kind of helps in healing sexual trauma, and even people who survived sex trafficking. I'm like, oh, this is news. Yeah, we need to have land. We need to connect with nature. So now, Ceres with Rahu. Now let's see, where were the eclipses. Ketu was in the 12th house for me, Aquarius. And Rahu was with the sun. The sun around this time was in Scorpio. Now let's see the eclipses. Sun in Scorpio with Rahu can also mean sexual healing and the use of herbs for sexual healing. Now that I think about this, I want to see eclipses of 2017. This is November. Not Julian to Gregorian. That would help me with Da Vinci. No, this is not helpful now. We will come to Da Vinci later. Eclipses. So this will give me eclipses from 2017. So this 2010, 2019, these are lunar. 2017. Oh, okay. So for 2017, we had February 11, 2017. And then we had September 16, 2016. Where was the eclipses? Okay, so September. Now, this you may already know, September 16, 2016 was right on my ascendant. This was when I started writing, basically. So yeah, that's interesting. We had another Libra Aries back then. This was when I was Me Too veteran. Now, yes, when I was Me Too veteran. Or maybe this happened. No, this not happened. This happened to me around August. No, July, August. February 2017. February 2017 is the closest eclipse. So this happened on November. so it's not the closest eclipse. So February 2017, that was with Rahu still in Pisces here. I'm sorry, with Ketu still in Pisces, Rahu already in Virgo, and Luna on 22 degrees Leo, Sun 22 degrees Aquarius. So yes, this was this time. Then we had August 2017, which is probably when I was not notified then, but I tried to kind of stop. And so, and this was with the moon and sun 15 degrees, Leos and Aquarius respectively. Ketu was on Deneb Algedi. Ketu was on Deneb Algedi. Saturn was in, ruling Ketu was in Sagittarius, and the sun was with Rahu and with Mars. So Ketu and Deneb Algedi. And Deneb Algedi has to do with policing, with wealth redistribution. So that was the axis. And then if that was November, so on January 31 would be the eclipse on Leo, 11 degrees Leo. January 31. So this happened around November, then January 31. I remember that on February 14, I made like peace with reconciliation with the ladies that were supporting the offender. Basically, over surrounding the offender is more correct to say, because support is very intricate. So Uranus here sitting pretty in Aries, 24 degrees, and Ketu in 15 degrees. Ketu with Venus. So Ketu with Venus in the 12th house for me. Rahu in Leo with the moon. Okay, Sun and Moon 11 degrees, Leo and Aquarius respectively. So that would be the closest eclipse. Okay, this would be the eclipse where I would definitely change a job, but also I would definitely change my view on mental ailment. Okay, I told you, I think, the story. I was writing this satire, and then there was a lot of heated discourse, and one of the things that I said is that you really need to listen. You must listen to people. You must allow people to speak up and to heal, because one of these days some person, if treated like this, they will kill themselves. I did not mean me. Then I went to drink a cup of coffee to kind of relax. 2 policemen came, and they because there was nobody, like my roommate was not with there, they said, oh, we must take you to hospital, because if there is no one that can sign anything that you will not kill yourself, then we must take you there. And you know what? Come on, take me to hospital. Take me. They take me. They will show what damage it is done. And then I was in hospital, and with me were people who were schizophrenic, supposedly. Okay, no, I no longer believe the term schizophrenia. But I was always curious. I told this story, I was always curious. Other than politics and governance, I studied linguistics. And what I was so interested about languages is how, when a person makes a linguistic mistake, let's say if they speak a language different to their mother tongue, how it exposes the process of thought that kind of runs in their original language. And I loved it so much. And that is something that I was very interested in. And so when I was in hospital, and there were many people who were hearing voices and having experience, so I was like a curious child. Like, I must speak with these people, I must try and see other patterns in this. And I was just like a curious child, I was speaking with people. So one person said to me, they burned like a tattoo that they had, because the dead mama told them, she was religious, she said, you cannot have tattoo, so they burned it. And so I said, oh, please tell your mama, you can save money, you can make a surgery to remove the tattoo in safe way, because when you burn, it gets to your blood, and then that's why and then you get non-dual experiences like this. And he said, oh my God, you are like a doctor. I'm like, I'm a what? Huh? You want to tell me that the doctors didn't say that to you? And then I learned, I would get out and I would learn about hearing voices, like community, like group of people who hear voices, and open dialogue, which has been very commercialized, but the original idea is that if you get validation and you are in a surrounding that is validating for you, then either you will hear nice voices and nice jokes and nice, channeling, or you will not even have these experiences at all. And so I also began to see how the various patterns in which what people consider psychotic content, and the literature said, don't engage with psychotic content, it's not good, you cannot encourage the patient to not see reality correctly, and blah, blah, blah. And even the things where people say, oh, they are spying on me, they are listening to my discussion. Everybody is spying on everybody in the world, and if a person is sensitive to frequency, of course they feel that. They may not know to interpret what is going on, but they now feel this frequency. There was even a nurse there. I remember that she told me about the person who is very, very sensitive to frequency. This is what it is. And I even asked them if the pill that they take, does it help them like to come to the body? And I said, a little, but then I go poof, I go up again. And in some cases, there were traumas, like something happened to the person. And then they had all these experiences. So that was keto. That was me purging the idea that there is such an X, such as X is psychotic content, that X is not related to reality at all, and purging this all together, which will begin, me learning and thinking and rethinking about more ways to see our health in general. And Rahu was here with the 6th house, so the physical health, pets. I changed my workplace because I went out of academia and then I started doing doggy sitting. This really happened, I started doing doggy sitting, and eventually I would no longer teach children English. I would work with pets, and yeah, started to pay attention perhaps to more the physical, to what we eat and to our habits, how they are important in our mental health. But here validation. Where was the sun? Sun was with Aquarius, so the ruler was with Ketu again, and so the connection between receiving validation and being appreciated to your mental health. Okay, to between appreciation to your mental health. Also in the terms of my offender, okay, because what we call the like narcissist, which I don't like this term today, but I understand that it was needed. Then person may have like very low self-esteem, and they would need appreciation all the time, appreciation, and they would try to draw it from the outside, and when they didn't, the person who would provide it the best, unfortunately, would abuse them to recruit them to human trafficking and to make them like recruiter. So they were basically a person that just needed, self-esteem that is independent of somebody abusing them, just the way that I needed, huh? So yeah, that was the eclipse context. Keto, again, sitting pretty on my ascendant, degree away from my ascendant, direct. You see this 50-year stamp, okay? Whatever happened there, whatever I saw there, 50-year stamp. So Mercury in the anaretic degree. This was the like eclipse context. Let's do a bit of asteroids here. So Aries in 22 degrees, Aries in 22 degrees Aries, Uranus 24 degrees, Pallas coming to conjunct my Venus actually, Sedna on 25 degrees Taurus, so Sedna on Algol, already here. Sedna retrograde was on Algol here, she will be on Algol in direct on 2019, 2000, which might be the time 2019, to take a look, like 2019 was a horrid year for many people. And not just because of COVID, but in COVID, she will be on Algol. So this was already Algol, already retrograde. And how these things would connect later with COVID. You see, there are 50, the stamps, 50 years, 80 years, 500 years, 28 years, very much not personal planets. Okay? And you see those kind of events. Many people get harassed. It was not the first time I was harassed at work. Many people get harassed at work. Many people get like fights. Many people get situations, you know? Many people get hospitalized or whatnot. Many people get there. But when you see the personal planet meets the outer planet, and here it's not just outer planets, it's outer planets of hundreds of years. And all this, look how many cycles. I didn't even think about this. I didn't know. I'm looking at this, you think I'm happy. Kind of. but also kind of sad, because I understand that there's some things that are, you know, very, 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 very big cycles. Tremendously big cycles. And as exciting as it was to live at that time, scientifically, okay, I was working on my thesis proposal. I would later take this, you know, money that I had when I got to hospital and study aromatherapy, say I will do something with this. I was later learning about astrology, doing this in astrology, and not so much astrology to be able to delineate this. So who knows what is ascendant, what is this, what is that? Composite reading, outer planets to inner planets. They do like the most stuff you hear about in the news or don't hear about in the news. So that's what I worked with, huh? And how things came about. And how this is not even the tip of the iceberg of what is going on, of the cycles that are overtaken, and of the part that the personal planets played, of the part of the zeitgeist. Okay, and see how many things, to be the person that writes such a satire. I cannot delineate, and I will not delineate the chart of my colleague Maya Fierce, which even went so far as to sue. Okay, I use my way with words. She used her statistical skills and her ability to go with the back and forth of, you know, superhuman strength. That like I'm not even half the tip of the iceberg. That's Maya, and all the things that she had in favor for 8 years. So this is the kind of stuff where, you know, I cannot look at this astrology. This person is too near, you know, but I can look at the chart of me, and you can see how so many things pick this person, pick this chart to be a part of something way, you know, 5 centuries bigger than who they are at this moment in this time. Literally so. Okay, when Aries crosses your personal planets, you're a part of a cycle that is 5 centuries bigger than your personal story. And this can be, I really like her, but I don't know if she's into me. It can be, oh, I had this weird situation at work, which is my case. It can be, oh, I would really like to do this, but the regulation. It can be something that seems as mundane as something that would go, like, would not go longer than this, would not be covered in the news, would not be discussed about. Do you think that the Hiroshima and Nagasaki was the first time that A-bombs were dropped? You know? So, speaking about bomb dropping, so, and I'm saying this not because I know the particular this or the particular, it was like common sense, people. Common sense. Was Rosa Parks the first woman to sit in the front seat on the bus? No, but she had a father that could bail her out when she was doing civil disobedience and get the media to cover this, so she could. Okay, was I the first person to be? No. Do you know that in academia, and I was told this by academic people, if you were to complain about sexual harassment, then you will be sued by the administration. You know this? In academia. And I was indeed, like, I had to go with 3 lawsuits that I had to, on February 14. I kid you not. February 14. Okay? And take everything I learned about the agent and the structure and hold humility and superhuman compassion to bail myself out of this weird mess. This is also where you get the pros and cons of psychiatry, because you make a person crazy if they say something that's against the undertone of what you want to hear. But now if I'm crazy, then I can speak up. And to think that I was the person that the president of the university knew personally, and I would be the representative they would send to donors. So it was a very problematic figure. And so Shirley has to speak. Universe says Shirley has to speak. Shirley has to speak, whether Shirley likes it or not. Okay? More than even my offender wanted me to shut the fuck up, I wanted this to be done. And I would say, okay, I won't write anymore, then I have to. I won't write anymore, then I have to. It is so. Okay, it is so. It is a telos. And so you see how many things are indeed involved in those stories, how many factors. And this is why when you called in, even right now, we are living in very pivotal time. When you called in, you're gonna know, okay? You're gonna know. When you called in, you're gonna know. And it's just like, and the knowledge comes to you, you do something, then the knowledge comes to you, then the things come to you, and the arguments and the resources that they kind of assemble, because you were called in, and this is a part of the story that you play. You called in. You're in duty. Okay? Saturn was on my midheaven. I was called in duty. This is why I said today, send me to veteran. Why veteran? I was in duty. C'est tout. And so it's just crazy how many cycles. Okay? Here this Palace on Venus speaking up. Sedna. There. Which would already, on March, it would already be the juncture where I would go and meet the person who would later be the They Don't Know What's Energy. That's going to be their name. Going to be called They Don't Know What's Energy. You oppress people, you oppress patient in the name of whatever, oppressing signs. Eventually, you're going to be called on the name of the argument that you made. They don't know what's energy. This is the correct way to treat this, I see. Now, let's take a look a bit at 2019, where I believe Sedna was direct. And why do I say 2019? Because 2019 was horrid for everybody. And if I make yet another separate video today, I think that all of my colleagues exposed about. So before people begin a Free Shirley campaign, let's go 2019. Oh, I didn't even look at the solar eclipses. Sorry, I cannot. 2017 solar eclipses. I just looked at the lunar ones. It's gonna make the picture more clear. So February 26, 8 degrees Pisces. August, I said August 21, 2017. It was solar eclipse with Ketu still around Denebalgidi, Rahu, yeah, Moon applying to with the Sun applying to. It's not really applying to regular. It was around those here. This time was around the Mars return of the offender. This I remember. I didn't look a lot in the, maybe once or twice I looked at the chart without ascendant. I remember they had Mars in Leo. So it was Mars return for them. So yes. Rahu. I don't remember what degree. I didn't look. Again, it was too close to look. The only reason I looked because it humbled me to see what this person is dealing with, so I can grow compassion and I can, not be like grudge. So Mercury was in Virgo. Here, Mercury in Virgo, retrograde, so reflecting upon. And around that time, I would get this call from Maya, I have to tell you. And then the next one will be February 15. So there was not an eclipse on around November. February, this is 2018. And this, I believed, was when the policeman came and say, oh, we must, if nobody signs that you're not going to kill yourself, we must take you to hospital. I say, okay, and I see all kinds of things there. 27 degrees with Mercury around Deneb Algety. Yes. So basically with Ketu. And this was the solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse in the 12th house. So it was shining in the 12th due to Mercury, due to both the rulers, an offender, okay, open enemy, but also due to text, the satire. Okay, basically following my writing. So yes, that was the thing. Now I want to look at 2019. Where were we? So we were with the eclipses on Capricorn and Cancer, this we know. Let's look at the beginning, January 2019. Yeah, January 2019. Stand would be 2018. Then November. I thought somehow it is okay that my therapist sleeps with me. And then we have January, Moon in 15 degrees with the Sun, eclipse. Let's look at the asteroids, which is what I wanted to see. What was Sedna doing? Because everybody had a horrid time in 2019 altogether. So eclipses, Saturn in Saturn, yes, was opposing my Moon. And we had Chariklo, 19 degrees. Wait. Chariklo, 19 degrees. Oh, she was with the Moon and the Sun in the solar eclipse. Chariklo. Oh, that's very interesting. But with Ketu and Pluto. Chariklo. So we were perhaps less able or less accessible to use Chariklo. Something different. Psyche, fall, Mercury, all of those things in. Look how many planets we have here in Capricorn. We were purging the entire structure there. And then we have Rahu with nobody in Cancer. Let's look at the Sedna. 26 degrees with Algol. So Sedna on Algol. That was 2019. It was Sedna on Algol. And Aries in the 22nd degree here. So Aries degree of to kill and be killed. Series 22 degree here. Palas, wow, 22 degree here, but those are more transient. Oh, this was with Keto still in, no, Keto in Capricorn. Chiron at the ending degrees of Pisces. So it was Chiron ingress into Aries, where the collective wound becomes a personal wound. Okay, because if you didn't have Pisces placements, then Chiron was in Pisces. Okay, and it was around you. Okay, I had ascendant. I literally had something that it was not full-blown deed, but definitely there was dissociation around the identity at the time. And this is why I need to know astrology, because a transit is not a lifetime pathology, a chronic pathology. Okay, something that is in transit may mean you meant a phase where you deal with that, but it is transit. Okay, you're not going to deal with it your whole life. It's not like full-blown deed that people experience. Aries, yeah. So it was a signature of purging out the structures of organizations, religion, secret organized cults, even, and more towards the people by merit of the moon, okay? Because Cancer rules the people. And look, with this, of course, the ruler is with Ketu. Ruler of Ra is with Ketu. And Chiron ingress into Aries in 2019. So self-assertion, identity, doing you, so on. Asserting yourself. And Sedna. Sedna with alcohol, collective stuff. Sedna with alcohol, collective stuff, and that would be involving pandemic. Like that would be eventually the breakout of COVID, which is respiratory system related, but the vaccine was oppressive of both the heart. Okay, people died of heart attack, the nervous system, and the endocrine system. So also affecting people who menstruate and affecting fertility at large. Okay, it would be very naive to think that semen production is not affected by the vaccine as well, not just by COVID. Okay, so Sedna is the slowest moving asteroid that we know. Are we talking 40,000 or 12,000? Like we're talking, 5 figures, 6 figures, 6 figures time of like years. So like, it's not even in pandemic level. Sedna across Algol. Woo! So the good news about this, as when I watch this, the good news about this is that we're not going to have Sedna conjunct in Algol until like 12,000 years or 40,000 years from now. We're not going to have this. Okay? It doesn't mean that there are no like troubles in between, but this Sedna Algol, this Sedna, this not going to have until like I don't know how many years from now. So this is good to know. This is some optimistic news, okay? We crossed Sedna on Algol as a collective. And it was already there with the Me Too. And I'm speaking the 2017 phase. Okay, I know that was 2015, 2000 this, she was applying, but on Algol directly, it was 2018, 2019, 2017. We kind of seen her on these degrees where it's Algol time. And so this was a horrid time for relationships, absolutely horrid time for relationships, horrid time for many things, okay? And of course, because the context is so vast, we really don't have enough information to assess the happenings, the ongoingness of things. And now Sedna is already in Gemini, which no live-in astrologer experienced. I had the honor to capture some Sedna water from the sea from the ingress, but that's about it. Yeah, so this was very surprising to me. Okay, I knew that it was the personal planets meet the outer planet. I knew that Uranus was with Aries on my. I knew that the Rahu was with Leo. Okay. Imagine, and I even think I knew later that Chiron would be on my ascendant. I did not even imagine, okay, my midheaven being so plucked. Oh, you have, hey you. Your legacy is going to be writing the text that will have between 28 to 500 years of impact with 50 years point and 80 years point and another like the plus something. Hey, Mr., Mrs., whatever you are. Like, but it looks like I'm kind of like life risking myself in the we don't care. Yeah, but I just want to live my life. We don't care. Nobody cares. And you know, you're going to be very excited in the process. It's going to be also exciting. It's not just terrible. So I did not imagine like how many points in my chart were picked at this time to participate in the entirety of it. And now as we are having Rahu about to go Aries, we've had already an eclipse in on these points where my Mercury is triggering this story now with Rahu about to go into Aries. Now Venus is stationed to go retrograde. Mercury has ingressed into Leo. So we're kind of thinking about this time, communicating, looking at this now from an astrological point of view. And let's go back to the current planets where we are right now with the ascendant approaching Pluto retrograde. Okay, so me thinking about the entire time of Pluto as well. Mercury on the descendant already in 1 degree Leo. Look how fast it moves. Only yesterday it ingressed, or today, separating from a trine to Neptune. So Neptune was already like on my ascendant when I began to call myself Mintu veteran, kind of like transforming identity perhaps, or life path. Moon on 9 degrees Taurus, Yeah, Uranus already in the 22nd degrees Taurus. 22nd degrees is my lot of spirit. Okay? And Venus is very Leo. So I'm speaking up about that era. And Uranus, of course, it means that I suddenly speak, I suddenly respond. It kind of makes of the lot of spirit, which is more our response to what like the life that happens to us, a bit less volitional. So if you thought that the time where I wrote Sugar Free Lemonade was something beyond the self, then imagine the lot of spirit being activated by an outer planet. This is today, right? Yes. The Saturn hour. We have 17 minutes to Jupiter. And so the lot of spirit being activated, I don't know the zodiac release thingy. I don't know if I should release from my lot of spirit right now with the degree, I know. But it kind of means that there's a revolutionary voice. Right now, okay? Right now, there's a revolutionary voice. There's a revolutionary act of speaking up. And this is my service to the world, Venus, okay? 26 degrees Leo. Why does it look like trine to Chiron? She's not trine in Chiron. It's Lilith trine in Chiron. Absolutely not complaining. I love this program. So, yeah, that's that. The sun exactly sextiles Chiron from Cancer. Chiron 19 degrees. It's only 3 minutes to the entering of Rahu to Aries. I don't know why am I excited like a dog that wiggles their tail, because I think I told you with this eclipses, in one of them Mars was in my 5th house on my moon. Eclipse on my Mercury is the ruler of the 7th and 5th. Now Rahu is going to peak point at this. Mars is in my 7th. No. 0 degrees Mars on Regulus. Applying to oppose Saturn. So, you know, I have been chosen to the US Army, and one of these eclipses is going to be involving Chiron on my Mercury, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, on my Mercury. Something like this, I don't remember. So it's kind of like, I remember when I looked at this moon, Rahu. Rahu is going to be with Chiron in one of the eclipses on my, I don't remember, okay? But I remember that it was that significant events. Can I make a... So, while this episode was personal, it was also very transpersonal, and it was also an example of the outer planets meets the inner planet and how big cycles kind of interlay into one another. I'm gonna publish it on the Jupiter hour, because why not? So yes, I hope you enjoyed. It's already 8. Oh! I've been recording all day, which I kind of like. And now it is even hotter. I'll move to the living room because now it is even hotter than it was. Yikes. Now it's hot inside, but it's colder outside. So I've gone through this very, very sunny day, and I want to tell you something totally unrelated. Thanks for the wind. One of these days I was traveling by bus, and I met 2 nice American people. So they were asking like around and we talked about Israel. I said, oh, Israel is a very sunny country. What would I say? You know, Israel is under revolution. What will I say to them? They are newcomers. They left the United States because the United States was in a horrid condition. So, and they left to Israel. They said, yes, it is a very, Beersheba is a very sunny city, so they tell me we come from Phoenix. So Beersheba is actually cooler than Phoenix, one of the hottest places on earth. And this is my story for today. So when I told the man I was astrologer, then he talked to me about Bentham, and he said Bentham knew astrology, so when he was told to curse the Jews, he blessed them, and he knew to use what he didn't say electional astrology, but what I know is electional astrology to do so, which was new to me. So bless an enemy today, and bless yourself, and may we all live such good life that we don't even think about, let alone desire, hurting another person or ourselves. Good evening.